The Big Breaky 1368 2G, and with me this morning I've got author of Footloose and Financially Free. We've talked about footloose and free before, or fancy free, but financially free would certainly be a good way to be. And by reading this book, who knows, you might be the next one in line. Julie Macken is the author of this book, and we've got her in the studio with me this morning to have a bit of a chat. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Craig.
Now, I believe that you're heading to Canberra and doing some special stuff over there.
Yes.
And doing the rounds at the moment. And is this all new for you with the book?
Yes, very exciting times.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how did the book get together in the first place? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I've had many jobs, and I worked as a public servant for a while in Canberra. I lived for 15 years in Canberra, and I decided to become a real estate investor. Okay. I sort of fell into that. And there's stories about that in the book. Yeah,
there'll be some interesting stories through that.
Yes. So I guess you could say I became an investor by default, because I ended up with a house that I didn't want, rented it out, and one thing and another. And so I sort of fell into it, but did very well when I began to educate myself and understand how I could make money out of that. And I felt it was so easy. I shouldn't say easy. I felt so inspired by my own success, and I realised that other people wanted to know more.
So it's pretty much by your own accidents that you actually were able to realise, hey, this can be done. I can actually do something about it.
I think in some ways when you find something you're passionate about,
it's not, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's not as hard as you think to become successful.
Because I think a lot of people, when finances are put in front of them and talking about being successful, a lot of people get kind of scared and nervous about, am I doing the right thing?
Yes.
So what did you do?
Well, I think people are scared to make decisions, and I educated myself. And what I mean by that, Craig, is I wasn't academic. I didn't do well at school, didn't go to uni, and so I felt that I'm one of those people that tends to dive in at the deep end and then figure out that the pool is deeper than I thought. So, and what I did when I started to realise I didn't know enough about real estate, and I owned some, I began to read books and talk to other investors, and so I spent a couple of years learning a lot, and also learning by experience, by actually going in and buying property and figuring out how to make it work.
Yeah, that's the best way by experience, isn't it?
Yes.
Although when it comes to properties, it can sometimes be daunting, and hopefully you make the right decisions.
Yeah.
But then again, making mistakes, even in real estate, is a good way of learning and getting better at it.
It is. Sometimes we thought some of our choices, and when I say we, I'm talking about my husband and I. Sure. Some of our choices we didn't think were perfect at the time, but often things turn out so well in the longer term, and as an investor, certainly the longer term is a great view to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing about your book, you say you can change your world by changing your mind. So how do you do that?
Changing your mind one thought at a time.
That's the way to do it.
And a lot of people I don't think are patient enough to do that, and that might sound kind of corny, but the book is not actually about real estate investing, as some people may think it is, but because I'm an investor, but it's much more about the psychology of success.
Yeah.
And I talk about something I call maneuverability of the mind.
Okay.
And so it's really it's like priming yourself and working on yourself to continue to find an optimistic slant on things.
Yeah.
And the reason we need to keep doing that is because our situation keeps changing. You get a little bit of success, or you get new contrast comes in. We're always got to work the situation we're in at the time.
Yeah.
So finding that positive slant, finding the angles that we can work, finding how we can get an advantage, and
so finding
make
the
the
best
most
in yourself,
of it.
Pretty much, and
Absolutely.
then making the most of what you're good at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you found that you were fairly good at real estate.
Yes.
Made the most of that, and
yes.
Have now continued on. Now, what is the real estate situation with you now? Is that one way that you've continued to make success?
Oh,
or
yes.
Have
Look,
you
I
branched
think.
out in other things?
Oh, yes. Well, I guess the book has been something I've branched out into, learning to write and learning to work with editors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Many things like that. That's been a great learning curve. With real estate, and I guess now with writing too, again I come back to the word passion, because I think if you're going to make money out of something, or even just to have you love a hobby.
Yeah.
And I think that some people don't think about money in the same way. But if you can find a way to make money out of something you love.
Yeah, because I mean, it does take up a lot of your life, whatever you decide to do.
Yes,
as far as a job, it's like 3/4 of your day, so you might as well enjoy what you're doing, otherwise you're wasting your life, really, aren't you?
Yes. Because when you come across challenges, like with real estate, yes, there are learning curves and challenges. You want to like it enough
exactly.
that you're going to persevere through those learning curves.
Yeah, absolutely.